There seems to be a bit of an epidemic in the golf swing lately. An epidemic of what? An epidemic of narrowness on the way back. I see so many golfers get really, really narrow. In other words, those hands and those arms and the club getting really, really close to us. I taught a guy a couple of days back and he did exactly that. Really struggled with his quality of contact, really struggled with the accuracy of the golf ball because he got very, very narrow at that top of that swing. So what's the cure and what do we need to do about it? Before we start, don't forget, hit that link below to my website to join that waiting list for lessons with me here at Whittleby Park Golf Club. Back to the narrowness. Now we're talking about really narrow backswings in particular. Narrowness when those hands get far too close, and then they've got to make a bit of a manipulation to get that club back down to the ground and down to the golf ball. But the problem is we lose a lot of accuracy and a lot of repeatability by having to try and manipulate that golf club down back into the golf ball. So we lose control over that club face, but we also lose control over where that club is going to meet the ground. Because we're narrowing the arc of the club head, ideally the arc of the club head should be going around in a nice circle, okay? But if we take it back to here and then get very narrow, we're very much narrowing that arc of that swing, and we've got to try and get it back onto that arc of that circle. So here's the thing, what do we need to do about it? How can we get some more width in that swing to be able to get that repeatability in where that club is meeting the ground and where that golf club is meeting that golf ball? The towel, fantastic little drill. What I want you to do, grip fairly tight in the towel, sort of either end, not sort of absolutely bang on towards the end, but have a little bit of slack in the towel in the middle. Don't have it taut and tight and tense, just a little bit of slack. Take your normal setup, really important that we get into our nice tilts when we get to that golf ball, when we get to that setup, when we're doing this drill. And what I want you to do, still holding that towel with that little bit of slack, what I want you to try and feel, keeping that slack, I want you to try and feel that you're turning your body, your bigger muscles around and trying to reach out behind, keeping that slack. What you'll get the feeling of here, you'll get a bit of tenseness, especially if you're not used to this. You'll get a bit of tenseness around the shoulders, the shoulder blades, bit of right oblique, right side as well. You'll feel quite tense because your bigger muscles are having to move the hands and the arms into that position. Whereas if you get really, really narrow, there's no tenseness and tightness at the top, especially with the bigger muscles. But when we allow this to happen, when we allow that sensation of those bigger muscles to do that work for us, really feeling like that towel's quite far away from us, being forced to work the bigger muscles, then we get that nice amount of width. Yes, we get that little bit of sensation, that tightness in the body, and it might feel to you like almost a strain a little bit. But that's not a bad thing because the bigger muscles are doing that work to get that club away from us as opposed to too close to us. And then as a result, when we get to that golf club, you'll notice how if we feel exactly the same thing, we get into that lovely wide position. A lot of you, again, if you aren't used to this, you'll get that feeling the club's going back a little bit shorter because you feel like you won't be able to get that club back any further, which is not a bad thing at all. Okay, as long as we get that feeling of width, we don't have to manipulate that club back onto its circle to be able to get the club back to where it should be on that ground and keeping that club face really nice and square. If all fundamentals like the grip, etc. are in place, that club face will return back to where it started pretty much. And if it was starting at the target, it's going to get back to the target more than likely compared to if we're narrow and then having to try and work that club back onto that circle. So remember, grab your towel, a little bit of slack, but feel like it's really wide and away from you on the way back, making sure, yes, we're still looking down on the ball, but feel like it's nice and wide. Feel that stretch. If you can feel that stretch, oh my, you're in a good position.